Hello and welcome to This Week in Property. I'm your host Richard Swan, and in today's show we have not one but two guests that we're going to enjoy today, which is fantastic. It could go drastically wrong because not only do we have two different Zoom windows to concentrate on, but we have a brother and sister team, so there's a family dynamic there as well. So buckle in and we'll see how we get on. The company, the venture, the empire that we're going to discuss is called OSiT. I'm not going to tell you any more about that just now. I'll leave you hanging. The people that we have involved, that brother-sister duo that are taking over the world, are Giles and Niki Fuchs, a fabulous little name that I've been learning the history from behind the scenes. So let's get off and running. First of all, Niki, let's go ladies first. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's lovely to be here. And you've got such a gorgeous smiley face. It's making me feel very relaxed.
Fad, you should be relaxed. This is just a nice wee chat. We're going to have a lovely chat about business and property and all sorts of things that we're having here. And our other fabulous chappie down there in the bottom window, the brother, the man behind the thing, it's our Giles. Hello, sir. Welcome.
Hello, Richard. Thanks very much for inviting us.
Yes.
I think it's going to be a bit of fun. I can tell you, you are certainly a bit of fun.
Oh, I'm definitely a bit of fun. I love this part of my job. It's tremendous seeing what people are up to and what they're doing and how they're helping other people as well, because there's a lot of things going on. So let's, you know what we'll do before we chat about the OSiT, and again, I'm keeping them on tender hooks, the people behind it all. You know, who are they? How on earth did they get to this stage? Why on earth would a brother and sister join forces? I mean, that's madness. I can hear these listeners behind the scenes thinking, oh, I could never do that with my brother. I could never do that with my sister. So, Niki, let's ladies go first. How would you summarise your own kind of career path of twists and turns that got you to this stage, if you like? How would you kind of talk about your own path?
Oh, God. Well, I was very lucky. Our parents, our mother in particular, started the business back in 1979.
Wow.
And when I hit 18, I sort of failed my A-levels, didn't have much of a thought process as to where I was going to go. I went to America on an internship.
Oh, wow.
Came back. Worked in the recruitment industry, and my mum said, look, you need to, buckle down, come and learn what it is that we talk about at the dinner table every day. So I went to work for her, started as a receptionist, and stayed a good few years, and then never left, really. Wow. I took a year out to go traveling with my now husband,
right,
and ended up coming back, and then lots of twists and turns in between, which is, far too complicated to talk about here. Giles and I ended up working together at City Executive Centres. And then after City Executive Centres, we took everything we'd learned, and we've done it right this time.
We've done it right this time. Oh, fantastic. A jet setter with a past that she can draw upon. That's tremendous. And Giles, do you remember those family table discussions? Do you remember all the things that unfolded as mum and dad spoke about things?
Yeah, I do remember. I wasn't that interested. I already decided what I was going to do. I was away at school boarding. Right. So I probably had less input at that point, or exposure. Right. I thought, leaving school in the mid-'80s, that actually what would be really good fun was becoming an estate agent, because you're probably too young, Richard, but in those days, all the estate agents drove a GTI Golf, wore pinstripe suit and braces. And I said, and you could do that without an education.
Oh, come on, that's a win-win, surely.
On the other side of the scales, however, was the fact that they were the most hated breed of people. You guys out there probably remember that. But that didn't put me off. So I became an estate agent at the age of 18, and I loved it. I think it was 7 days a week in those days. Right. But I loved it. And then being, the arrogance of youth, I thought, well, how hard can this be? So I set up my own estate agency with a friend of mine, Steve Taylor, at the age of 21.
Fantastic.
And I haven't been employed since. Not by somebody
He's
else.
unemployable.
Unemployable. Yeah.
I would say that's totally untrue. But let's hope it doesn't go wrong. We have to find out. But I had my estate agency. It was absolutely fantastic. We worked hard and we played hard. And through my 20s and early 30s, that was what it is. And estate agency taught me selling, how to run a business. That's marketing, HR, management of staff, training of staff, all that stuff. In a pressure cooker, I should say, environment. I mean, people selling their houses, we all know it's meant to be or is very stressful. Yeah. So I sold that, not for a lot of money, in 2000.
Right.
And then Niki phoned me. I thought I'd take some time off. And Niki phoned me and said, "You lazy git," words to that effect. "Why don't you come and make your inheritance work for you?" So I went and worked for Niki. That's what happened in about 2001 to 2005. Niki sold, that was City Executive Centres, as Niki mentioned.
Right.
Which was the largest manager of serviced offices, or had the largest number of management contracts of serviced offices that Niki had created. It was from Edinburgh to Brighton and Norwich to Cardiff. So it was a hell of an organisation. The downside of that was, the lesson we learned, is that Niki spent all the time, our major resource, in the car or a train or a plane. Niki then sold that. She got an investor, Quintain, who's very well known in the industry and were an early adopter like Niki. But then they got busy with Wembley and the Greenwich Peninsula, as you may remember, all those property guys out there. And they sold us to MWB, which was an interesting experience. Anyway, we then were sort of out of the industry for some years. I went off and did other things. Niki set up an online brokerage for a state agency for serviced offices, actually.
Fantastic.
And then I did some other stuff. And then in 2009, some opportunities came our way and OSiT was formed.
Brilliant.
I did a whole load of details about what happened next, which was exciting, but maybe save something for later on.
That's it. Yeah, I love it. That's fantastic. Now, Niki, I've got to jump back to you. This entrepreneurial blood, that sounds as if it's in the veins, big style. Is that you? Is that the parents? Is that just a thing? What is that? Because my goodness, the background there, the history there that you've got is remarkable.
Well, I think everyone would say it's definitely a lot about nurture. You know, talk about sitting around the dining room table, talking. Our father was a businessman, and he turned my mother into an entrepreneur. She was a housewife, and he said, "You need to go out and earn a living. And here's this building. We need some money to do it up." Right. And she didn't have any experience or knowledge. She'd been a secretary, and he empowered her to do it. And so I think we were definitely brought up in an environment where anything is possible. Give somebody the trust to do it, empower them to do it, and they will normally rise to the challenge. And so I think that's where we got our motivation from. It doesn't mean that we weren't scared or that we didn't make mistakes.
Yeah, of course.
Or didn't, crave after a fixed salary and security of a 9-to-5 job. As Giles said, after a certain amount of time, you become unemployable. Yeah. And so we've learned a lot of lessons along the way, but I think a lot of it is nurture. And Giles and I, after being 13, 14 and not being allowed to talk to each other at home because we argued so much, we just became really very close, and we complement each other so well. And I think we've had our ups and downs, and that's part of the lessons of life, but we've encouraged each other, and we've been there, and we've supported each other. And that's given us, but again, both the motivation to continue. But Giles is the real entrepreneur. He's still coming up with business ideas. He's set up so many businesses, and if you haven't heard of Gunners yet, I'm sure it'll come out in conversation, his most recent venture. So I think everyone has it in them to be an entrepreneur, but they have to have been reassured that it's okay to be brave. It's okay to make mistakes. And it's good. Keep trying.
Yeah, oh, I love that. I love that. It's funny the way you're talking there and going back to your childhood and stuff. I can totally relate to that to myself. I got 3 young daughters, and it's the same thing. You know, you're round that table, you're chatting away, and all of a sudden a wee question, Dad, see that property we drove past the other day with you? Are you keeping that or selling that? So their wee brains are going, oh no, we're selling that one. Right, okay. And then nothing, silence. Then a couple of weeks go by. Are you changing the kitchen? Oh my goodness, are you still thinking about that place? It's fantastic because you can see the little brains going, and I think it's wonderful. And look at the two of you. I mean, my goodness, if that tells you about keeping your kids on the journey, it's brilliant. Giles.
Yeah, I just wanted to add exactly the same experience happened to me. So our parents had a house in France near Brive,
right.
And I think my youngest couldn't have been more than 12. Around that sort of age, and we were buying some office buildings in London, and she said, what are you looking for? So I said, well, we're looking for this sort of thing. And blow me if a few hours later she didn't come to me and go, Daddy, what about this building? That building was a building that we had under offer already.
Oh, no way. Oh,
so
that's
absolutely got it, and that's where it starts.
I
think that conversation. I should also just a quick shout out for Carol, our mother, who founded the industry. You may or may not know that in 1979, when our father said to her, "You need to make some money," and the family had an empty office building in Northampton town centre.
Right.
And she founded the first serviced office in the UK.
Wow, no way.
Yeah, which then grew into a small chain, and she sold it to InShops PLC. Who are obviously a small property company, covered market malls. And that's where the industry was founded, yeah.
The whole... we're speaking about legends here. This is fantastic.
Well, our mother's the legend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, that is outstanding. This is why I love these interviews. The stuff that comes out is just amazing. And you've answered one of the questions that was going through my head, because when I was preparing for the show and going through all the links and websites and what, I kept thinking, I wonder why Northampton's there. I wonder why that's involved. So a lot of other places, and we'll go on to discuss them, but I'll need to wonder. There you go. There's the answer. That was the whole creation, the whole birth of it. Oh, God bless her. That's fantastic. So, OSiT, let's get them off their tenterhooks. Office space in town. You've mentioned drip fed there about the serviced offices, etc. As soon as I say that, I mean, come on, every listener to the podcast must be thinking, well, Richard, come on, the pandemic, 2020, COVID, forget it. It's all over. There's no more offices. It's never going to happen. We're all working from home. We're all doing Amazon delivery jobs. It's all over. What on earth would these people still want to be in business? Surely, Nikki, it's all finished, eh?
No, not at all. We did a survey last month. So we do a survey every year just to find out what's happening in the market, what people are thinking, how they want to work. And this year we followed up on the pandemic one we did last year. 75% of people reported that their company had maintained its offices during the pandemic.
Right.
So that in itself tells you the office isn't dead.
Right.
But only 16% of them, when we did the survey, had actually returned to the office.
Right, really? There you are. Yeah. Actually, I can relate to that as well, because I remember I'm in our Glasgow office just now, and typical story, everyone working remotely, helping each other, just getting through everything, trying to do the best you can for your clients and stuff. But I remember the faces lighting up when those restrictions got to a level where some people could actually come in and see each other. We're people, we're humans. We might be working, might be projects, might be profits, might be money, might be everything else, but we do need that contact, don't we? I mean, that's a thing, Nikki, it is, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. And we've been, not because it's our business, obviously that helps, but we've been, Giles especially, banging that drum from March last year, which is, it's not good for our staff within OSiT. It's not good for people to be separated. We're humans. We need interaction. We learn from when we're babies. We learn from observing our parents and looking into their eyes, and we learn the language from listening to them. You just said about your daughter learning about what you do and asking questions because you're physically with her. And yes, Zoom, this is great, and it definitely has enabled us to change how we work. You can't remove the physical contact at all.
No. Totally. Now let's go from the lovely, social, empathetic Nikki over to the much more hard-nosed businessman, Giles. I do apologise, Giles. You're getting set up here. It's terrible.
I think I am, Richard. Although, interesting, we do psychometric testing and other personality testing. And I think, Richard, and you're being particularly unfair, I think I'm very empathetic. Although Nikki made me do one of these tests some years ago, and all the stuff was very good at influencing and all that sort of stuff. No empathy.
No.
But I think that's what I saw it as a game of chess, and I think I won. Anyway,
he does have empathy.
It does have empathy. See, it's that tag, that stain of being an estate agent is still there. It's still with you. You've got those connotations, that GTI and the pinstripes. I can see it all. Tremendous. So, Giles, we've just spoke about offices in general, the human contact, etc., how important it is to business. But let's kind of focus on your specific sector. OSiT, you're not selling offices, you're not leasing out offices just for someone to take over and what have you. You're providing much more than that, aren't you? Can you explain if someone's listening in and they've got their own company and maybe they're looking for another office, actually having serviced offices is a completely different level that you provide, isn't it?
Yes, I think someone recently coined the phrase office space as a service, and I think that kind of plays exactly what it is. People running a business, doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a property business like yours or insurance or recruitment, it doesn't really matter. But what you are not in is property. But you all end up, when you take a lease, being in property, or if you buy a building which you're occupying as your business, you end up being in property. And being in property and running your space means you need an employee at least who's managing that space. And that's everything from bog rolls to light fittings, to security, to taking the call in the middle of the night, to cleaning it. I mean, the list of running a space, lots of people out there have done it, know it. That is what you become part of. And that takes time and it's expensive. A whole person or even part of a person, the time you as the managing partner or manager or owner or founder have to spend in property, that shouldn't be where you're putting your energies. It should be the last place. You should be putting it into exactly what is the key function of your business. Serviced offices, therefore, is just an extension of your business. It provides several things. It provides probably a location that if you're a SME, you wouldn't waste your money on getting that extra cost. It probably, you wouldn't decorate it or get the sound insulation or the quality of the air conditioning or the carpets or the desks or the quality of the receptionist. You just wouldn't spend that money on those things. So for about the same money as leasing, you get the property management, probably a better location, definitely a better fit out, unless you're a fund manager, in which case they're probably better than our spaces. Even though I'd probably question that. So you get all that. You don't have to spend your cash, your capital on your fit out and your desk, because that's all included. So you can use that in your cash flow. And what we have found, the end result of that is obviously that time is money saving. But also, Nikki has all the figures in terms of this, but a large percentage of our client base tell us two things. Firstly, even, we're employing better quality staff than we would have done in our other location. And secondly, we're keeping them. So I think that there's a whole plethora of reasons why you would take service offices and what service offices are. But it allows primarily the business to be more successful.
That's tremendous. I mean, and that very aspect of the people, the quality of the people and keeping those people, I mean, that's a massive headache getting solved for businesses, because having the right people, just finding them, and then even harder, keeping them on is just a tremendous challenge for all businesses. So it's a fantastic thing to have. And Nikki, when you're providing those services to these different companies, is it cookie cutter stuff? Is it, here's the list, this is everything we'll do? Or do you find you're having to tailor for different businesses, different locations?
Well, starting with the big ticket items, so the offices, they're very much a blank canvas. They're obviously furnished, but we are unbranded as buildings. So it doesn't say office space, it doesn't say OSiT everywhere.
Right.
But when the client goes into their space, they can put their branding on the wall, they can have signage inside. We've had people put grass on the floor. So they go into their own space. We take pictures of all of it, and we have little booklets so we can show other prospective clients what they can do.
Right.
So no, that's definitely not cookie cutter. It is make it your own space. Each of our buildings, I don't know if you've had a look, is completely different. So one of the benefits of owning our buildings is that we've been able to give them the most incredible look. So we've got the Happiness Building in Blackfriars, we've got Alice Through the Looking Glass in Waterloo, we've got the Great Gatsby in Mayfair. Yeah. So again, not cookie cutter. Not everybody loves all of them, but they are dramatic, and they give every one of our clients an individuality as their own business within our space. Yeah. And then in terms of the other services, everything is designed specifically for them, whether it's what they need for their internet, how they structure their internet security, how they want to use meeting rooms. Is a roof terrace with a bar important to them, in which case they'll go to one building. We have studios for exercise in our building. So we're adding to those services all the time. Yeah. Some of them are very much cookie cutter, but our approach is, how do you want it to work for you? And we try then and bend and mold the edges so it's not rigid. Whatever the solution is, we try and mold it to the client specifically.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And you're right, you can actually see the places. So folks listening in, when it's safe to do so, go into the show notes page, not only just, connect with Niki and Giles, but go into the website and have a wee look, because there's virtual 360-degree tours that you can take of these buildings. You can see exactly what they provide for you. And there's some amazing spaces, just beautiful spaces to work in and operate in and have your clients in as well. It's tremendous stuff. And Giles, when it comes to places, locations, we've covered the fascinating story about Northampton and the birth of everything, but you guys and girls, you're up and down the country. You're Edinburgh, Cardiff, London. You're really everywhere across the UK, aren't you? You're providing all these great locations. And is there is there plans for more growth as well?
Yes, I just want to straighten that part out a little bit.
Yeah.
Because the Edinburgh, the Cardiff and the Northampton are residual from our old business, because we took those back.
Right. Gotcha.
What I mentioned earlier, Richard, that our biggest resource, Niki, was running around the country. So actually, our growth has been London-centric. Right. This time, and we may do other sites around the UK. But so there's a chap called Chris Bishop who owns or a co-owner of a fund called Artesian, and Artesian founded a group of serviced offices called Argyle back in the 2000s, I believe. They also owned, so they had the robust business model. But he said to me, I'd like to walk to all my centres before lunch. And I thought, my word, how that is different to what we have to do. So we now, all our growth, all our new centres have been London focused over the last few years. Right. And many reasons for that. But not least that it's easier to sell offices in London than it is in Northampton. We are London-centric. Really. Fantastic.
And Niki, those places, as well as being offices, we can also look to just hire out a space for an event as well, a lounge, this kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can hire an office on a permanent basis. Mm-hmm. We also have a product called Adjust, which we've launched during the pandemic. So you can contract for an office 2 days a week or 3 days a week for your team. So you don't have to take it for every day of the week, so to speak. Right. Yeah. You can have meeting rooms, whether you're a residential client or not, you can hire meeting rooms from us. And we have our event space at Monument, where you can hire it if you're a residential client, but external clients. And we're just about to go into the busiest 6 weeks we've ever had. since we opened on the deck. Everybody wants to come back and have an event. Our catering and event manager she's blonde, but she's about to go platinum. She's just like, it's shocking how busy she's going to be. And we also have some bedrooms. Again, sadly, they're only currently for our residential clients.
Yes.
So and we're, one of the things about OSiT, I think, is, and Giles and the rest of our team, everybody's always coming up with ideas as to what we can do, what new product, and that's because we're so engaged with our clients and we talk to them all the time.
Fantastic. Yeah, the cabins, these are your the service bedrooms, is that correct? Yeah, it's incredible how much stuff you can provide. It's absolutely fantastic. And Giles, let's have a wee tangent then. Let's go off to the Gunners. Explain. You're not buying Arsenal Football Club, but no, is this something completely different?
Mate, thank you so much for bringing up Gunner. Well, those people who have lived abroad or play tennis or play golf may well have had a gunner.
Aha.
You may have had a gunner. A gunner has been around, well, the earliest report we can find of it was in 1842, and it's about colonials mixing a very refreshing drink for the hot climes.
Right.
And it's ginger, so ginger ale and ginger beer, or gingers and bitters and lime. So it's a refreshing non-alcoholic cocktail. It's drunk by millions of people over the world. I played golf and travel a bit, and it just was beyond me why someone hadn't put this in a bottle or a can. And I kept saying to people, someone just put it in a can, for God's sake. Anyway, so ended up being me, would you believe?
There you go.
So I registered the name Gunner. I had a battle, you are right, I had a battle with Arsenal. My lawyer pointed out that they weren't a soft drink. So, although, I don't know, some people might disagree, I don't know. But anyway, so Gunner has been launched. We're in, would you believe, Hurlingham Club. We're in Royal Limited Yacht Club. We're in Carnoustie Hotel. We've had an order for a whole pallet that's just gone to Chile. I mean, how do they found it? Well, I can't tell you all the exciting people we're talking to, but we're in quite a lot of venues. We're in my local, the Blue Boar in Longworth. You should definitely go there. Bless him. Thank you, Anthony. And the Oxford Wine Company have also bought. So it's being bought. We're in our first month of launch, really, and we may sell 10,000 cans in our first month. But the great thing about a gunner is, of course, it is restorative and refreshing, and it tastes amazing. You can buy it on our e-shop, by the way, boys and girls.
Oh, there you go.
www.gunnerscocktails.co.uk.
I'm taking over, Nicky.
I shouldn't be doing this. But it's a great mixer, Richard. It's a great mixer. Ginger and rum, ginger and scotch, ginger and ginger.
Brilliant.
I mean, it's just brilliant. So buy it, be a saint and drink the original, be a sinner and try some of the alcoholic mixes and share it on social media.
Fantastic.
Over.
I might pop to the Carnoustie one. I'll pop to the Carnoustie Hotel up here and have a gunner and send you a picture.
He's on draft up there.
Yeah, that's it. Fantastic. Oh, good stuff. And this man really is an entrepreneur. I absolutely love it. I love that whole energy and the passion as well for new ideas and the scratching your own itch. You know, someone put that in a can. Right? Someone put that in a can. Nobody, oh, for God, right, I'll do it then. I love that. That's fantastic.
That's what happened.
That's what happens. Oh, it's
we also have a cleaning company. Did you know that?
Oh, my goodness. Do you
Niki wasn't happy with the cleaning. I think for 40 years, in fact, Niki used to clean a lot of our buildings, didn't you, after work, bless you, and Sarah Singlehurst, shout out to her. And they used to clean the buildings as well, bless them.
Wow.
And my mother used to clean it. Anyway, we never found decent cleaning.
Right.
So we founded a cleaning company, Office Space Cleaning.
Fantastic. Oh, I love that. Absolutely.
Did you know we had a hotel as well?
Tremendous stuff. Shh, you have to be
Sorry,
quiet about that.
you can edit this out.
Tremendous stuff. So, Niki, I mean, what a journey, what an empire, what a venture. It's unbelievable. For us, when you look back, let me get you to pick the good and the bad from your memory archives. What would you say has been the biggest challenge? And it may be that whole travel here, there and everywhere that Giles spoke about. And what's been the big milestone, the satisfaction, that moment of, oh yeah, remember that? That was great. What would you say, good and bad?
Well, I think the biggest highlight was when Giles came and said, Sarah and I were working in Hemel Hempstead for CBRE, I think at the time, looking after a distressed asset for them.
Right.
And Giles came in and said, "That's it. I've got a building for us in London. We're on our way. I am going to do this for us, and we're gonna have 20 buildings in London, and nothing's going to stop us." And I was like, "I love you, Giles. You're amazing." I think that for me, we'd had some dark days and whatever leading up to that.
Sure.
And so for me, that's definitely, it was a really exciting and invigorating time. So that for me is a great memory.
Love it.
Oh gosh, the hardest, saddest challenge memory. Oh, I think the day they locked down, probably because it's most recent in my mind.
Gotcha.
That was quite a stomach sinking feeling. And I've got a picture of the board of directors sitting on the Zoom call. And when you take, it's just a snapshot in time and we're all like this.
Oh, yeah.
And it was, it was just that short period of time where we absorbed it and was like, okay, what do we do? How do we manage this? What's our approach?
Yeah.
How do we look after our clients? How do we look after our staff? What's the world going to do? God, can they make any more bad mistakes, bad decisions? And so I think that's it, really.
Yeah. No.
But within a week, we were, with Giles's leadership, we were back on it. We were running full steam ahead with what we were going to do, and we haven't stopped yet. And we
tremendous.
But so I think most recent that is.
Yeah, exactly. No, and I think a lot of people can relate to that. They really can. It's been a tough challenge, especially on that human front, that social front, that's for sure. Now, Giles, the elephant in the room, we have to talk about it. Brother, sister, family, how have you found it? What would you say to people if they're thinking about, siblings and getting to work together? Would you give it a thumbs up? Yay!
I think the answer to that is quite straightforward. Well, certainly for us, and I do appreciate that everyone's siblings are not as wonderful as Niki. So I think we have to start there. But who would you trust with the family silver more than the person whose family silver it is? So you don't have to worry about them running off because they're in it with you. Yeah. I think on top of that, in terms of just talking about general partners, Niki and I have different talents. Maybe because we are close, we developed our talents going in different directions rather than compete with each other in the same sandpit. Right. And the end result is that Niki runs the business and runs the people, and I create strategy and raise the money and grow the business. Gotcha. So it's become a fantastic symbiotic relationship. In terms of other people being in business, I think it must be true to say that given unless you are the greatest person in the world, given our various talents, we're either at one end of the spectrum of artist or academic, given that we have different talents, and you need all talents in your business, I think, to be truly successful. Yeah. And it makes sense to have someone with a different talent to you. I've seen so many businesses who have two guys who are both salespeople. Well, yes. Bloody nightmare, frankly. Or both accountants without a salesperson. Yeah. So, or whatever it is, an operation manager, two operations manager rather than a salesperson. I think, so for me and Niki, we were lucky we had different talents. And so I'd recommend a partner, definitely in business. Mm-hmm. Our family motto and our business motto is confer and triumph. Mm-hmm. And if you have someone who's different to you, then you get a meaningful debate. Mm-hmm. And we've added to that with our board of directors. And I'll just quickly say Simon Eastlake, Julie Ward, Sarah Singlehurst, Tracy Holloway, and newest to the board, the youngster, the Johnny come lately, she's only 30, is Georgia Sandon. But we all have quite big personalities and have a meaningful debate and come up with something different. So yes to the sibling because of trust, and yes to a partner or several for that robust conversation to take you in the right direction.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And the perfect way to bring it all together with a nice wee chat at the start about Czechoslovakian history and all sorts of things going on. And now we're back at family again. Absolutely love it. For your time today on This Week in Property, Niki, Giles, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you. You are such a gentleman, Richard, and so brilliant at what you do. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's show as much as I did. Remember, with the guests that you just saw, go into the show notes for the page because all of their links are there so that you can get in touch and to get more information. And talking about getting more information, more guests, more insights, more knowledge, etc., make sure you're subscribed. Get the subscription done, get the notifications on, and then we'll always keep in touch with you every single time a brand new show is going to come out. So thanks for tuning to This Week in Property.